Your mind is weak, and it's not entirely your fault. You've been conditioned to chase comfort, avoid struggle, and numb discomfort with distractions. Every scroll, every dopamine hit, every excuse, it chips away at your strength. But deep down, you know something's wrong. You feel it when you procrastinate, when you quit halfway, when you let emotions control your actions. The ancient Stoics would call this slavery of the mind. But they also gave us a way out. A way to train your mind like a muscle. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire in chaos, yet wrote calmly in his journal while the world burned. Epictetus was born a slave and still found freedom in his mind. These men weren't superhuman. They were trained. And you can be too. So if you're tired of being reactive, emotional, distracted, this video is your wake-up call. Because what you're about to learn isn't motivation. It's mental armor. And in a world built to break your focus, Stoicism is how you fight back. We live in an era that promises ease, pleasure, and convenience. And yet, people are more anxious, more distracted, and more mentally fragile than ever before. Why? Because comfort, when left unchecked, doesn't just soften your lifestyle. It erodes your mind. Think about your daily routine. How often do you reach for your phone without thinking? How quickly do you switch tabs when boredom creeps in? How fast do you abandon your goals the moment things get uncomfortable? Modern life has trained you to avoid anything that requires effort or emotional resistance. When you're sad, there's an app. When you're stressed, there's a delivery. When you're lonely, there's a screen. But the mind, like the body, is a tool. It's either sharpened by challenge or dulled by ease. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They lived in a world of plagues, betrayals, brutal winters, and real survival. But they never blamed the world for their emotions. They blamed their lack of discipline. Today, we do the opposite. We blame the world. We blame algorithms. We blame our circumstances. And the cost? Your focus is fragmented. Your willpower is shallow. You break your promises to yourself without even flinching. And you wonder why you feel powerless. The truth is, most people have no control over their minds because they've never had to develop it. We've been sold the lie that peace comes from eliminating discomfort. But the Stoics knew that peace comes from mastering your response to it. The enemy is not the world. It's your undisciplined reaction to the world. Take Marcus Aurelius. He was surrounded by betrayal, disease, war. He buried children. He lost friends. He knew suffering intimately. And yet, every day, he wrote to himself. Not to complain, but to remind himself what he could still control. His thoughts, his choices, his character. Today, we break down over slow Wi-Fi. We lash out over criticism. We melt under pressure. This isn't because we're weak by nature. It's because we've been conditioned to believe that struggle is unnatural. But discomfort isn't the enemy. Discomfort is the training ground. You're not struggling because life is unfair. You're struggling because your mind has never been trained to endure what is hard, to sit with what is painful, and to act despite emotion. This is not a condemnation. This is a diagnosis, because the good news is, you can train your mind. You can unlearn weakness. You can build resilience. But it starts with facing the truth. Your mind isn't failing you. You've just never taught it how to fight. That changes today. Story. The Stoic who faced hell and stayed calm. Now, imagine being in charge of an empire that's falling apart. A plague is sweeping through your cities, killing thousands. Barbarian armies are pressing in on your borders. Your own generals are plotting behind your back. Your people are scared, angry, and hungry. Every letter you receive brings worse news than the last. And you're the man expected to fix it all. That was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. philosopher of pain. And yet, through all of it, he didn't break down. He didn't scream at the gods or drown himself in distractions. He picked up a pen. He sat down, opened his journal, and wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This wasn't some motivational quote. It was survival. Marcus didn't write for an audience. He wrote to himself, reminding his soul not to fall apart. And here's what's wild. Those writings would become one of the most powerful self-mastery texts in human history, Meditations. But back then, they were just scribbles, written by a man trying to hold on to himself while the world collapsed around him. Most of us can't even handle a mean comment online without spiraling into self-doubt. But Marcus handled wars, betrayal, and the death of his own children, and still showed up with calm, logic, and strength. That's not superhuman. That's training. Stoic training. You see, Marcus didn't wait for the crisis to prepare. He trained for it every day. Every morning, he wrote down what he might face. Anger, selfishness, cruelty, ignorance. He rehearsed adversity in his mind, so when reality hit, he didn't flinch. Can you say the same? When things go wrong in your life, do you respond with clarity or chaos? With control or collapse? This story isn't just history. It's a mirror. Because if a man ruling an empire under fire can keep his mind disciplined, what excuse do we have? Your boss yells at you, and you spiral. Your plans fail, and you quit. One bad moment, and your whole day's ruined. This isn't an attack. It's a challenge. You think you're stressed? Try burying your own child and still writing. Life is only what you make of it. Marcus didn't just survive his suffering. He used it. He turned pain into philosophy, chaos into calm. And it's not because he was special. It's because he practiced. He made discipline a daily ritual. He wrote, reflected, embraced hardship, and reminded himself that no one controls his mind but him. And if he could do that in the fire of ancient Rome, you can do it today. But only if you choose to train. Only if you choose to stop escaping your mind and start mastering it. The training. How to build a stoic mind step by step. So now that you understand the power of a trained mind, and you've seen it embodied in someone like Marcus Aurelius, the question becomes, how do you build it? What does it take to train your mind like a Stoic in the real world, not just in theory? You don't need a toga. You don't need to live in ancient Rome. What you need are habits that harden your thinking, sharpen your focus, and reconnect you with what truly matters. The first practice is morning clarity. The Stoics began every day by confronting reality, not running from it. They would ask, what hardships will I face today? Who will insult me? Where will I be tempted? What emotions will try to hijack my mind? This wasn't pessimism. It was preparation. Marcus Aurelius called it premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. When you start the day expecting resistance, you don't panic when it arrives. So the next time you wake up, don't reach for your phone. Reach for a journal. Write out the worst that could happen. Then write how you'll respond with strength. The second practice is voluntary discomfort. This is where you sharpen the edge of your mind by doing what others avoid. Skip a meal. Take a cold shower. Sleep without a pillow. Walk in silence. When you voluntarily strip away comfort, you realize how little you actually need. Seneca once said, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, saying to yourself, is this the condition I feared? When you practice living with less, you free your mind from fear. You stop craving luxury. You stop fearing loss, because your strength no longer comes from what you have, but who you are. The third practice is evening reflection. At the end of each day, you sit with yourself, not your phone, not your distractions, just yourself. Ask, where did I act with discipline today? Where did I give in? What triggered me? What emotions won? Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Reflection is how you do that. You don't need a therapist to get honest. You need silence. You need courage. And you need consistency. Most people let their minds run wild, full of anxiety, jealousy, cravings, and never ask why. But the Stoic asks. The Stoic dissects. The Stoic takes full responsibility for the one thing they control, their mind. And there's one final step that binds it all. Daily practice. This is not something you do once and expect mastery. This is mental training. Like the gym, like martial arts, like anything worth having, the Stoic mindset must be earned. You don't read one quote and become wise. You don't take one cold shower and become tough. You show up every single day and prove to yourself that you are not your impulses, your distractions, or your fears. You are what you train. You are what you repeat. And if you practice like a Stoic, you'll start to think like one, speak like one, respond like one. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. The emotional climax. Why this matters more than ever. Now, maybe you're thinking, this all sounds great, but why does it matter? Why should I care about building a Stoic mind in a world that runs on speed, likes, and instant gratification? Because deep down, you already know the answer. You feel it when your goals slip through your fingers. When you keep breaking promises to yourself. When you stay up too late, scroll too long, say, I'll start tomorrow, for the 10th time this month. That's not just poor discipline. It's a deep inner ache. A spiritual unease. And it's not because you're broken. It's because you're misaligned. Your mind is at war with itself. Craving strength, but feeding on weakness. Wanting peace, but running from discomfort. Wishing for clarity, but living in chaos. And every time you choose comfort over growth, distraction over discipline, excuses over effort, that war inside you grows louder. This is not about being more productive. This is not about waking up earlier or grinding harder. This is about freedom. Mental freedom. Stoicism isn't a philosophy you read once and forget. It's a rescue line. In a world that profits off your weakness, your anger, your need to compare, Stoicism hands you the sword to cut through it. It says, you are not your feelings. You are not your failures. You are what you do with them. And that matters now more than ever. Because we live in a world that numbs you. That rewards outrage. That medicates every emotion. That sells you the idea that strength is toxic and discipline is outdated. But what if the real toxicity is never learning how to suffer well? What if the real danger isn't discomfort, but your inability to face it? You see, this isn't just about being tougher. It's about reclaiming yourself. Reclaiming your ability to stay calm when life storms. To stay kind when others are cruel. To stay grounded when everything tries to pull you apart. That is the Stoic way. And the world desperately needs it. We are raising generations who panic over silence. Who run from solitude. Who've never been taught that stillness is power, not weakness. You could be the one who breaks that cycle. Not just for you, but for everyone who watches you. Everyone who looks to you. Your family. Your friends, your future kids, they don't need perfection. They need proof that strength is possible, that discipline is beautiful, that being emotionally grounded is a superpower in a chaotic world. And the only way to give them that proof is to become it, to stop blaming the world and start building the inner fortress that nothing can break. That's what the Stoics gave us. And that's what you can begin right now. So now it's your move. You've heard the truth. You've seen the power of a Stoic mind. Not just in philosophy, but in battle-tested lives. You felt that internal pull. The part of you that's tired of feeling mentally soft, easily shaken, and constantly reactive. And if you've made it this far, that voice inside you is getting louder. It's saying, enough. Enough being a slave to emotions. Enough breaking down every time life doesn't go your way. Enough waiting for motivation to save you. You don't need motivation. You need direction, discipline, inner fire. The kind you build, not find. And now you know how. Morning clarity, voluntary discomfort, evening reflection, daily mental reps. These aren't trendy hacks. They're ancient tools to forge a mind that doesn't flinch, doesn't flee, and doesn't fold. That's the Stoic mind. And here's the truth. You won't master this in a day. But you don't need to. You just need to begin. Right now. Today. After this video ends. Don't scroll to the next dopamine hit. Don't escape into another distraction. Do one thing. Pick one habit. One thought. One challenge. And act. Because every time you choose discipline over impulse, presence over panic, virtue over ego, you are training your mind. And every time you train, you're becoming someone the world can't break. That's rare. That's powerful. That's Stoic. So don't just watch this and nod. Live it. Choose one thing today your weak self doesn't want to do. And do it anyway. That's where the training begins. And if this message struck something deep in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Be the spark. Because this world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who are calm in the storm, focused in the chaos, unshakable in the fire. Be that person. Train your mind like a Stoic. And watch everything change.